Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for this opportunity to continue with our lesson in the book of Umdatul Salik, Guidance of a Traveler. And we pray that Allah bless us with the understanding, bless us in tawfiq and hidayah, and forgive any our sins, and protect us from all difficulties, trials, and tribulations in dunya and akhirah. Ameen, ya Rabbal Alameen. So today we will enter into a new chapter. We have completed the chapter with regard to the ritual bath. Then the author mentioned Babu Tayammum. So this is the chapter that we will enter. It is on Tayammum. Tayammum is usually translated as the dry ablution. And the meaning of Tayammum in the Arabic language, it is al-qasd. And when we say Tayammum, and it comes from the verb Tayammama. Tayammama, yani in Arabic, and we say qasada. That is why there is a saying in Arabic, Tayammamtukum lamma faqadtu ulil-nuha. Yani Tayammamtukum, yani I intend to find you when I do not find those any who are intelligent. So this is the meaning in the Arabic language. Likewise in the Quran, Allah mentioned wala tayammamu khabisan. Yani do not any intend something any that is bad. But in the Arabic language, afwan, in the terms any in the Sharia, it is isalu turab. So it is any about transporting the transporting this soil or the dust any that comes in from the soil to the body parts, which is any the face any and the hands with a specific intention. So this is any the meaning of tayammum in the Islamic legal term. So the author mentioned Babu Tayammum. This is a chapter any of tayammum. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, وَإِن كُنْتُمْ جُنُوبًا فَلَمْ تَجِدُوا مَاءً فَتَيَمَّمُوا صَعِيدًا طَيِّبًا. And Allah mentioned that if you are in a state any of janaba and you do not find any water, then do tayammum. فَتَيَمَّمُوا صَعِيدًا. The Quran used the word sa'id. So Allah mentioned make intention to use the sa'id. So that is why the word tayammum comes from this particular verse, tayammamu sa'idan. Allah said tayammamu yani uqsudu or intend to use what? Sa'idan tayyiban. The word sa'id is what will be explained by the author later. In the Mazhab al-Imam Shafi'i, sa'id it means the dust that comes from the soil. That is why in the Mazhab al-Imam Shafi'i, it is not any permissible to do tayammum unless it comes from the dust from the soil. So we are doing any tayammum from the dust. And the dust comes from where? From the dry soil. And it must be tayyib, there must be no najis and so on and so forth, and it will be discussed later. The author began by speaking on the conditions of tayammum. So he says, shurutu at-tayammum salasa, there are three conditions. On the validity of tayammum. So we know the difference between shart and fard. Shart are the conditions that is not part of the action. Whereas fard it is the obligatory factors with regard to the action of the thing that is commanded. So you say ahaduha an yaqa'a ba'da dukhulil waqt. This is the difference between tayammum and wudu. Tayammum when we speak about doing tayammum after the time of prayer has come. So for example, if I want to pray Zuhur prayers, I cannot do tayammum before Zuhur. So I must wait for the time of Zuhur, then I do tayammum. So the condition here is not found in ablution. In ablution, we do not take, not necessarily that you must take ablution after you hear the adhan, then you take ablution. Ablution you can take before the time of prayer and you can still pray. But tayammum, you must do the tayammum within the timing in your prayer. So you say ba'da dukhulil waqti in kana li fardin. If it is number one, if it is for the obligatory prayers like Zuhur and Asr, There's a specific timing. So we have any to do tayammum within the specific timing. Aw naflin muaqqat. Or it is a sunnah prayer, but there is a specific any timing to it. So sunnah prayers, any there are two types. One is muaqqat, and the other one is ghayru muaqqat. Muaqqat any meaning a specific time allocated. For example, the duha prayers. So with regard to duha prayers, we have a specific time. It begins any from the after any the shuruk, after the rising of the sun, and span any of a spears based on the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And our scholars in Hadramaut, and he mentioned it is about 16 minutes. So if 7 a.m. and shuruk, so you can pray duha 7:17. Any meaning you after any day 16 minutes, then only any you can pray. You can pray the duha prayers, and likewise the ishraq any prayers. Sheikh Ibn Hajar differentiate any between ishraq and duha. Some any fuqaha they do not any differentiate, and they say ishraq is duha and duha is ishraq. The timing any is the same. So the timing is after shuruk all the way any until in the time of zawal. So this is any the timing any of the duha prayers. Is duha prayers any sunnah? Yes, it is sunnah. So when you do tayammum, you must do tayammum within the timing any of the duha. You cannot do any tayammum any before any the timing any of the duha. If, although any duha any is a sunnah, it's not any a farm. Likewise, any with regard any to the qabliya, qabliya zuhur, ba'diya zuhur, any the timing is within the zuhur timing. Then he mentioned with regard any to sunnah, that is there a sunnah any there is no time any allocated to it? Yes, nafil mutlaq. We have any type any of sunnah where it is not any tied any to time, meaning you can pray any at any time as long as it does not any fall any within the timing that is haram. The timing that is haram, and we have the 5 timings any which is prohibited for us any to do prayers. So nafil mutlaq, and you can do whenever you want, whether you want to do it in the morning, you want to do it at night. So it is not tied any to time. So can you do tayammum? Yes, no problem. Nafil mutlaq, and you can do tayammum. If you want to pray at night, you tayammum at night. If you want to pray in the morning, you do tayammum in the morning. But duha yani you cannot, because it is a specific timing. Bal yajibu naqlu turab fil waqti. So the action yani of transporting any the dust must be done yani in the timing. Must be done yani in the timing. The action any of tayammum any of transporting any the dust, it must be done any in the timing. If it is done in out any of the timing, then it is not valid. Falau tayammama syakkan fil waqt. If a person is in doubt whether the timing of prayer has come or has not come, lam yasih, it is not permissible, because the origin is that the timing has not come. For example, you are in doubt and whether the time of Zuhur has come or has not come. You are in doubt. Shak here meaning 50-50. There is no tarjih. There is no thing any that we call it is basically any 50-50. This is the meaning of shak. In fact, whenever our scholars mention shak, it refers to 50-50. There is no preponderance. The word is preponderance. Tarjih. If there is a preponderance, it is not shak. It is zon. If it is 55%, 60%, this is zon. It carries a different ruling. If it is based on ijtihad, and it is valid. But here the author mentioned if it is shak, a person is shak, you are 50-50. You do not know whether the timing of Zuhur prayers has come or has not come. But you do tayammum. Not valid. It is not valid. Because action based on doubt is not accepted in the Sharia. It must not based on doubt. So the author mentioned wa in sadafahu, even if a person does the tayammum and actually he does tayammum in the time of prayer, but because since he is in a state of doubt, his tayammum is still not valid. So I hope it is clear, inshallah. His tayammum is still not valid, even though his action of doing tayammum is in the stipulated time. Why? Because while doing the tayammum, he is in a state of doubt. Just like in famous question people ask in Ramadan, can I break my fast if I am in doubt whether the time of Maghrib has come or not? Likewise, right? We say it is not any permissible. If he breaks his fast, then the fasting becomes invalid. Because the origin is the timing has not come. So we always go back to the asal. We go back to the origin. And this is one of the important usul or foundation in fiqh. So whenever we have doubt, we always go back to the origin. You are doubt whether you have wudu or no wudu. You go back to the origin. Origin, do you have wudu? Have you taken wudu earlier or not? If a person say no, I have not taken wudu, but I'm in doubt whether I take wudu. Khalas, and if you say the origin is you do not have wudu, and there are many other examples. Then he mentioned walau tayammama li itatin dahwatan. A person he wants to pray the qada prayer, and he does the tayammum in the morning, and he does not perform the prayer in the morning. Falam yusalliha hatta hadaratiz zuhur, until the time of zuhur has come. So for example, he wants to make up for his isha prayers qada'an. So he does tayammum in the morning. He wants to pray qada, but he does not pray at that particular time. Can he pray after zuhur? So this is the thing the author is giving this example. So he said, Falam yusalliha hatta hadarati zuhur, until the time of zuhur. Falahu an yusalliha bihi. It is permissible and valid that he performs the qada prayers with the tayammum that he did in the morning. So this is with regard to the qada prayers. So he gave this example, aw fa'itatan ukhra. Or he prays another what you call it, type of qada prayers. So qada has a different ruling, because with regard to qada the time has passed. If a person doesn't pray isha yesterday and he has not perform the making up, he can do it at any time. Correct or not? He can do it, even our scholars mentioned, even in the haram time, he can perform his qada. Why? Because the timing of the prayer has passed. The timing of the prayer has passed. It is not the same. So this is the first condition of tayammum. That is dukhulul waqt. So this is where the author is saying that you have to perform the tayammum within the stipulated time of the specific prayer. Asani, the second condition, he said, an yakuna biturabin tahirin. And this is where I mentioned earlier in the verse in the Quran, fatayammamu sa'idan tayyiban. Let us go back to the Quran. The Quran and he mentioned the word sa'id. So the word sa'id comes from the verb sa'uda. Sa'uda in the Arabic language is something that rise up. So if you look at soil, if you do this, what happens? Something will rise up, correct? Not? It will rise up. This dust, the dust will rise up. This is called sa'in. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned tayammamu sa'idan. Yani Allah is speaking about what? About the dust from the soil. About the dust from the soil. That is where Al-Imam Shafi'i mentioned you cannot do tayammum except by the dust, by this kind of dust. So our mazhab is considered to be the most strictest in tayammum in regard to this. Because in the mazhab Hanafi, they have a different interpretation which I do not want to go into. But as far as the Shafi mazhab is concerned, this is what our Imam is talking about. He interpreted the word sa'id as the dust that comes from the soil. So if you have a soil, how do you get the dust from the soil? We cannot imagine to attain dust from a soil that is wet. It must be dry. Because if it is not dry, there is no dust. So that is why when we take the soil that is dry, so there is a way in attaining the dust. So when you put your hand on top of the soil, the dust will stick. The dust will stick to your hands. This is what tayammum is about. And it must be tahir. That's what the author mentioned. Tahir here meaning it must be pure. It must not mix any with najis. Sometimes any soil it is mixed with urine, for example. It is mixed with cow dung. Correct, no? This kind of soil is not valid for tayammum. Sometimes it is mixed with something that is clean, like flour. So this cannot be valid in tayammum. So it must be pure soil that is not mixed by anything, whether it is najis or non najis. So he said, "An yakuna biturabin tahirin khalisin." Khalisin here meaning it must be pure. It must not be mixed with anything else. Mutlaqin. Mutlaq, it is not something that is mixed by something else until it becomes something else. For example, clay. Clay, people take soil and then they mix with water, they mix with other ingredients. It becomes something else. Now we say this is not any soil anymore. This is not any soil anymore. This is not permissible. And lahu rubar. There must be rubar. Rubar is dust. That's what I mentioned earlier. If there is no dust, it is not valid. In the case of soil that is wet, like mud, you cannot attain any dust from mud because it is wet. Walau bi rubari ramlin, even though the dust comes from the sand. So when you look at the sand in the desert, for example, you put your hand on the sand, so the sand will stick, and likewise the dust from the sand will stick into your hand. Can you do tayammum with this kind of dust? Yes, because it comes from the earth. It comes from the earth. Wala ramlin mutahammid, but it is not permissible to use from the sand that is not mixed with any dust. Is there any type of sand and there is no dust? Yes. An example is the sand in the beach. When you look at the beach and the sea after some time the sand dry up, there is no dust because the ocean wash away the sand in a sense that there is no dust on the sand. So this is ramlul mutahammid. Wala biturabin mukhtalitin bidaqiq. That's what I mentioned. It is not permissible to use soil that is mixed with flour. Wala bijis. Jis is a type of element where they mix with the soil to make flooring and to make what you call it, like cement for the walls. In Yemen until today they use this. They sometimes they call it nur. So it is like a type of a paint which they type of something that is mixed with soil. They paint it white and they use to cover the walls, the mud walls. They name it as al-jas. Wala bijissin wa suhaqati khaz. Suhaqati khazaf is basically the clay that is used to make pots. When you see any people when they make clay, they mix the soil with water, and then after that they blend it with their hands. This is khazf. This is not permissible because it is mixed. Musta'mal. Musta'mal is used dust. It is not permissible to do tayammum with use dust. For example, if I wipe my face with dust, and then the dust falls down, this is musta'mal. It touches my skin, then it falls. This is musta'mal. This is not permissible. Just like water. Water, use water, I cannot use for ablution. I cannot collect after I wash my face, I collect water. This is musta'mal. Likewise, tayammum, we cannot use musta'mal. Wa huwa ma 'ala al-'udwi wa ma tanathara anhu. Either we are talking about the dust that is on the face, that is sticking into my face, for example. This is musta'mal. If I take it out, I cannot use it anymore. Or it touches any my skin, then it falls down. This is the meaning of wama tanasara minhu. Yani it falls down. This is considered to be musta'mal. So this is any condition number. This is any condition any number 2. What is any condition number 2? That we use dust that is pure. So condition number 1, it has to be done within the stipulated time, prayer time. Number 2, we have any to use dust any that is pure with all these conditions. Then he mentioned number 3 condition, the third any condition for tayammum, for the validity of tayammum. He said, al-ajizu an isti'malil ma, the inability any to use any water. So this is any the precise definition any our scholars any use. Al-ajizu an isti'malil ma. They do not say when a person does not have water, but they say al-ajiz, yani inability. Because sometimes there are people who have water, but they cannot use the water. Some people have injury, and they have a bandage. For example, the doctor say you cannot apply water to your injury. So now any water is abundant in front of him, but he cannot use the water. So he has to do tayammum. So it is about inability to use any water. Then he mentioned فَيَتَيَمَّمُ الْعَاجِزُ عَنْ إِسْتِعْمَالِهِ عَنِ الْأَحْدَاثِ كُلِّهَا. So the person who is unable to use water, he can do tayammum for all types of hadas. What is in the types of hadas? We have hadasul asghar and hadasul akbar. Whether we are talking about ablution or bathing the obligatory bath, janaba. If a person doesn't have water, for example, and he has not bathed his obligatory bath, there is no water, and he wants to pray. In 5 minutes time, the time of prayer, and he will end. What we'll do, if people do not understand, they will think, oh, I just make qada. Haram qada. Yani if the timing in your prayer is still there, right? Even you do not have any water, you have to do your prayers. How do you do your prayers? You ask yourself a question: can I attain dust around me? Is there dust? If yes, then wajib any for you to use dust. Wajib any for you to use dust. And if you use any dust, your prayer is valid. With regard to whether you have to make up or not, later on we will speak about the rulings of making out. And just to remind all of you, this is one of the most difficult chapters in fiqh. The chapter of tayammum is one of the most difficult chapter in fiqh, and this is ajib. Our ulama mentioned there are 3 particular chapters that are the most difficult. One of it is tayammum, the other one is istikhlaful imam. Istikhlaf imam, and if the imam prayer becomes invalid, how you take over? Just imagine. Do you think it is easy? It is not that easy, especially for Jum'ah. If the imam has done any khutbah, he does any prayer, and the prayer becomes invalid. So there are many conditions, and with regard to who is able to what you call it, go forward and take over the imam. This is called the istikhlaful imam. The third one, which is difficult, is to do the sahwi, because it is related to all rulings in salah. All these are coming inshallah ta'ala. Then the author mentioned وَيَسْتَبِيحُ بِهِ الْجُنُبُ وَالْحَائِضُ مَا يَسْتَبِحَانِ بِالْغُسْلِ. So now the author mentioned with regard to junub and ha'id. Yani a person for example is in janaba and he has done sexual intercourse and there is no water. So what does he do? Yani he do tayammum. And he make the intention of istibaha. Nawaitu istibahata li fardhi salah. He make the intention of istibaha. And if he wants to do the obligatory prayer, he has to intend fardhu salah. Likewise, we got to the ha'id, yani a woman whose menses has end, and she wants to bathe no water, and she does tayammum. How does she intend? So she intend and depend on what kind of prayer that she is any praying. If she is any praying fard, then she does any the intention of istibaha. Nawaitu istibahata fardis salah, or nawaitu istibahata as-salah. This is with regard to the sunnah prayers. Then he mentioned fa in ahdatha ba'dahu haruma ma yahrumu bil hadathi. But if now a person for example in a state is in a state of janaba, and then after that he wants to do the prayers, and he does the tayammum for prayers. After he performs his prayers, he does something that makes wudu nullified. He goes to the toilet for example. So now his tayammum is also nullified. His tayammum is also nullified. So this is where the author mentioned fa in ahdatha ba'dahu haruma ma yahrumu bil hadathi. Whatever that is not permissible when a person in a state of not having wudu, it is not any permissible as a person whose tayammum has been nullified. So it is the same. What is haram for wudu is haram for tayammum. Meaning, if a person doesn't do tayammum or the tayammum has ended, so he cannot do what a person does not have wudu do, like prayers, what do you call it, touching the Quran, holding the Quran and so on. Then the author mentioned asbabul ajazi al-mubihi lit-tayammum. So we have covered the three conditions of tayammum. So number one is the timing, that we have to do tayammum within the stipulated time. Number two is turab tahir, the conditions of the dust, that it must be pure and so on. And number three, if regard to the inability to have access to water or to use any water. So now he goes on to speak about the reason why a person has the inability to use any water, and these reasons that are accepted with regard to the permissibility of tayammum. So he said lil ajzi asbab, there are many reasons. He said ahaduha, the first one is faqdul ma. Sometimes a person does tayammum because no water, faqdul ma, no water. A person is in desert for example, and he only has water for him to drink. You only have any water for him to drink. Do we tell him that you must use the water for tayammum? No. And if he say that if I use this water for drinking for tayammum, this will cost my life, because I have miles ahead in the desert, no water. So which one we give precedence to his life or prayers? Islam say life comes first. Tamam? And do tayammum. So a person doesn't have water. فَإِن تَيَقَّنَ عَدَمَهُ تَيَمَّمَ بِلَا طَلَبٍ. So situation number one, he is confident and convinced, 100% yaqeen. This place, no water. Just like a person in the middle of the desert. He looks around him, a sea of sand. No indication of river, no indication of well, and he knows this place. He said water is 10 miles ahead. For example, there is a sea. But now there is no water in this place, so he is convinced, yaqeen. So this terminology we have to pay attention, because now the author is going to speak about the difference between yaqeen and waham and shak and zon, and there are four. So maybe I just go through fast. Yaqeen is 100% conviction. Tamam. Shak I mentioned earlier, how many percent? Shak is 50-50, 50%. There's no tarjih, no preponderance. This is called shak. What is waham? This important word in the chapter of Tayammum. We have to understand this term. Our ulama use the word waham, and the Arabic term tawahhama. Tawahhama. A person he has waham. What is the meaning of waham? Waham is anything that is below 50%. Worse than shak. Worse than shak. Yani, we say most probably there is no water. This is called waham. This is called any waham. Zon any is anything that is above any 50% all the way to 99.9. This is zon. So zon can vary whether it is zon or ghalabatu zon. Ghalabatu zon any is anything that is more than 75%. We say this is ghalabatu zon. In English, any how do we say? We say this is the more possibility. I do not know whether we can use any word probability, but this is the more any possibility. This is zon. So there is a difference between yaqeen, zon, shak, waham. So have this any at the back of our minds, before we enter into this is one of the difficult thing any about tayammum. So now any the author begins by speaking about yaqeen. A person and he has yaqeen. Alhamdulillah, yaqeen easy. His yaqeen, he said that confirm this place got no water. Tayammama bila talab. Easy. He does any tayammum and he prays. Bila talab. No need for him to find around. Because he is convinced and all this and no, I know already there's no water. There is no water. So there is no need any for talab. Talab any meaning to find. This is situation number one. But there, it must be yaqeen, not zon. Must be yaqeen. Number two, wa in tawahama wujudahu. If he has the slightest doubt, slightest in tawaham, waham here meaning worse than shak. If he has the slightest any doubt, the ruling any differs. The ruling any differs. Now this is not yaqeen. He is convinced, but there is a slight doubt. Mushkilah. No, you cannot do tayammum and pray. If you tayammum and pray, not valid prayers. So that is why important to understand. We don't understand this, it costs in our prayers. So wa in tawahama wujudahu wajaba talabuhu min rahlihi wa rifqatihi hatta yastaw'ibahum. He has any to find water until he reaches yaqeen, there is no water. So he finds around him, he finds maybe my friend and he has water, rifqatihi, a person is in a group, for example, traveling in the desert. I don't have water, but my friend might be water. If you are traveling any by car, maybe somebody have water inside the car. Ask around who have water. We want to need to take wudu. If somebody any has water, then you have to take ablution, use water. You cannot do tayammum. If you have any water, you have any to use any water. Then he mentioned awla yabqa min al-waqti illa ma yas'u salah. Unless if a person is in a state where earlier I mentioned that there is no more time. Because the timing and prayer will end soon. So if you tell him that you have to look for water, the time will go away. So what does he do? He does tayammum and he prays. ولا يجب طلب من كل واحد بعينه بل ينادي. Is it wajib for him to ask everyone and to search every corner? No. So the author mentioned ولا يجب طلب من كل واحد بعينه بل ينادي. He can make an announcement. Yunadi. Man ma'ahu ma. Who amongst you have water? Who amongst you have water? So this is a situation anywhere, a group of travelers, for example, maybe 10, maybe 20 people traveling in the desert, and this particular person wants to pray. So he just asks by raising his voice, anyone have water? So not necessarily he must ask everyone. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. This is what the author is saying. ثم ينظر حواليه إن كان في أرض مستوية. Then he looks around him, and if it is mustawiya meaning level, same level, not mountainous. Then he can just look around. Is there any indication where there is an oasis or there is water around? وَإِلَّا تَرَدَّدَ إِلَى حَدِّ الْغَوْثِ. If he still have doubt and if there is a possibility there is water around this area, so he has to look for water. But the question is, how far must he go? And if a person is in the Sahara Desert, does it mean that he has to search the whole desert? Not practical. So what is the masafa? What is the distance? Say the author this is a terminology in fiqh. They call it, he has to look within the distance of Haddul Raus. Haddul Raus meaning if a person shout, how far can the voice reach? It is about 150 meters radius. So within that area, he searched for water. وهو بحيث لو استغاث برفقته مع اشتغالهم بأقوالهم وأفعالهم لأغاثوه. So this is the meaning definition of Hadul Ghaus. And if a person shout, the person can hear his voice. Even when they are talking among themselves, they can still hear that kind of voice. So this is called Hadul Ghaus. So it is about 100 and within 150 meters. An estimation. In lam yakhaf darara nafsin aw mal. The condition is also if he does not fear that harm will cause to him or his wealth that is with him. So for example, he is in a place, in a desert. 20 meters away from him, there is water. There is water. But there are crocodiles and wild animals sitting around. So he asked himself, and if I go, and if I take any water, there is a possibility, na'uzubillah min dhalik, I might be bitten by the crocodile. Or there is a tiger, for example, sitting around there. Usually animals, they will flock around oasis, especially in the desert or in the jungle. It is known, this water, that there are piranhas, or there are crocodiles, alligators, snakes, anaconda. So if that is the case, a person can do tayammum without access the water. And the tayammum is valid. Because now he has the fear for himself. Or he said that if I go and find water, my things will be stolen. There are a lot of thieves in that place. A lot of highway robbers. Quta'u tariq. So in this situation, he can choose to do tayammum without accessing to the water, even though he is convinced there is water. Because this is forgiven. أو صعد جبلا صغيرا قريبا. So the author is still talking about Hadul Raus. Hadul Raus can be achieved if a person goes up a small hill and he looks around him where the distance can be covered by his eyes. So it doesn't mean that he has to go 100. If we say 150 meters, he have to walk 150 meters in a radius all the way. Doesn't mean. If there is a hill, he can climb up the hill and he can look around. If he is convinced there is no water, then khalas. Then he say, وَيَجِبُ أَنْ يَقَعَ طَلَبُ بَعْدَ دُخُولِ الْوَقْتِ. A-talab must be after the entering of the timing of prayer. Yani searching for water must be done within the stipulated time of prayer. And this is the thing also difficult in the chapter of tayammum. Not only we say that the tayammum must be done in the time of prayer, but searching for water must be done in the timing of prayer as well. So meaning when the time of prayer has come, then you check again, and do you have water at this time or not? If you do not have any water, then you have to look for. Then you need to have a look to look for water. If you have the slightest doubt that there is a possibility that within Hadul Ghaus there is water. فَإِنْ طَلَبَ فَلَمْ يَجِدْهُ وَتَيَمَّمَ وَمَكَسَ مَوْضِعَهُ وَأَرَادَ فَرْضًا آخَرَ فَإِنْ لَمْ يَحْدُثْ مَا يُوهِمُ مَاءً وكان يتيقن العدم بالطلب الأول تيمم بلا طلب. Okay, let me just summarize what the author is saying. So by giving an example. So now the author is saying, so now the example is, for example, I am in the desert, right? I search for water, I cannot find water. I search Hadul Ghaus, no water. Now I'm convinced that within Hadul Ghaus, no water. So what I do my tayammum and I pray my Zuhur prayers. And I wait for Asr. Then Asr prayer comes. Must I search for water again? Must I search any for water again? This one we have to pay attention a bit. The question is, must I search any for water again for Asr prayers? Or my search during the Zohor time suffice? No need any for me, I need to search any again. The author mentioned it depends. MashaAllah. What depends any on what? Depends that the level of certainty and you have is the same as the time any when you are in Zohor prayers. If the waham any comes any again, where there is a possibility that now at the time any of Asr, there might be water at this particular place. There might be water. There is a possibility. Then you have to search again. So I hope it's clear, inshallah. But if there's no any possibility, that everything is the same. You are basically in the desert, there's no rain, there's nothing any happen, and you are in the same place. You pray any your Zohor, any for example, and then you are waiting any for Asr, and then, for example, any the time of Zohor and Asr, you pray your Zohor at the end of time. If Asr any is 4 p.m. and you pray, for example, any 3:45, then you wait any for 50 minutes, you want to pray your Asr prayers. Now, do you have any to find any water again? No, because you are still convinced any that there is no water. You have searched for water. So you can do another tayammum and pray for Asr, because one tayammum is only for one fard prayers. Remember that. You cannot do one tayammum for two prayers. But here the author is speaking any about searching for water. Is searching any for water any wajib? It depends. If there are no changes, then it is not wajib. You can straight away do your tayammum and you can pray any or second prayer. So this is basically any what he's saying. وَيَجِبُ أَنْ يَقَعَ طَلَبُ بَعْدَ دُخُولِ الْوَقْتِ فَإِنْ طَلَبَ فَلَمْ يَجِدْهُ وَيَتَيَمَّمَ وَمَكَثَ مَوْضِعَهُ, and he's still at the same place. وَأَرَادَ فَرْضًا آخَرَ, and he wants to pray the next any fard. فَإِنْ لَمْ يَحْدُثْ مَا يُوهِمُ مَاءً, if there is nothing any that changes the status of the possibility of having water at that particular place. وَكَانَ يَتَيَقَّنُ الْعَدَمِ, and he is yaqeen and convinced that there is no water. Why? How? Bitalabi al-awwal. And the first time he search any for water. During the first timing. Tayammama bila talabin. Yani he does any tayammum without searching for water. Wa illam yatayaqqanhu. Now I need the opposite. And if he is not convinced, meaning there is a possibility because there's rain, for example. Earlier there's a bit of rain. So there is a possibility any water is present. Tamam? Aw wajada ma yuhimuhu kasahab, and he saw far away there is this clouds. There's a possibility down there there is rain. Aw rakab, there is a caravan or group of travelers at that particular, maybe like 100 meters away. You saw a car camping there. So there is a possibility they have water, right? Wajabat talabul an. Now you have to search for water. You cannot you do your asar prayer. If you do your asar prayer, your prayer is not valid. You have to search for water first. So see, the difficulty in tayammum is that it is connected to searching for water. This is with regard to a person who does any tayammum because no water. So you cannot do tayammum when there is a possibility of water present, or you have the doubt, the slightest doubt that water can be present. This is where the difficulty in tayammum comes. Because wudu is straightforward. Wudu, you have water, khalas, just take wudu. Whether it's before timing or after timing, no need. No need any for you to search anything. And if you have water in front of you. But tayammum is different. Wajaba talabul an illa min rahlihi. Except from his and the place that he is in. Tamam. Because he is convinced there is no water within that specific place. So now we have reached 4:50. I do not know. Is there a lot of questions today? Okay. So I will look at the questions. We will stop here. So tayammum, no choice. We have to go a bit slow. If I speed, some pointers and you might miss. Bismillah. So we have the first question here. Can I confirm the sequence of performing the obligatory bath, niyat, and wash the private areas, wudu, and complete the bath? If we niyat washing the private area and bathe without wudu, can we still perform salat since we touch the private areas after niyat? So there are a few things here. Question is asking. So we go one by one. Number one, he's asking, can I confirm the sequence of performing obligatory bath? The first one is, what is wajib is intention. So you have to make the intention. If you don't make intention, nothing is valid. Second thing, we start off by washing the private parts. Yes. When you wash your private parts, it must be washed with intention. Remember, not any washing like that. It must have the intention of removing janabah or raful hadasil akbar, yani removing the major ritual impurity. And then we take ablution. Yes, after washing the private parts, we take ablution. I mentioned last week because so that we don't have to wash our private parts anymore. We can protect our wudu and complete the bath. Yes, and when you bathe, with the intention of hadasil akbar. Then his the next part when we near washing the private area and bathe without wudu. What I understand is that a person make the intention to bathe, right? So he wash his private parts. Then he bathe without having wudu because he touches his private part anyway. Can we still perform salat? Yes, your bathing is valid. Wudu is sunnah, remember. Wudu is sunnah. Even though a person he bathe, washing his private parts and bathe and perform the bath, his bathing is valid. When he wants to do the prayers, he must take wudu because now we ask the question. A person he touches his private parts. When he perform the bathing, is there wudu? There is no wudu. There is no wudu because he touches his private parts. Touching the private parts invalidate the wudu. Invalidate the wudu. I think I understand where this question is coming from. He is asking if a person bathe and he wants straight away to pray. Because last week we mentioned that if a person bathe, bathing the obligatory bath, wudu is included, not included, it is included. But with the condition you do not do anything that makes the wudu invalid while you are bathing. But in this situation, you are saying that a person washes his private parts while bathing. So khalas, your wudu becomes invalid. But your bathing is valid. But you cannot pray. You have to take wudu again because it has been nullified. Clear, inshallah? Unless if a person does not invalidate his wudu while bathing. Meaning from the beginning till the end and you're bathing, he does not do anything that invalidates his wudu. Now when we say he has wudu by his obligatory bath. Can we still perform salat? So basically I'm saying it depends. But in this situation, you wash a private parts, your wudu becomes invalid, you have to take wudu again and you pray. Right? So I hope it is clear, inshallah ta'ala. Assalamualaikum. Waalaikumsalam. Di Australia kami ada dua puak, satu ikut moon sighting, satu ikut mufti. Biasanya mereka tak sambut hari raya pada hari yang sama. I was invited to be a khatib for both groups. Can I pray tune in for 2 days as imam? So now question is this is not have any relationship with tayammum. The questioner is asking about moon sighting. He lives in Australia. There are two groups, so they differ with regard to moon sighting. So let's just give an example. One is saying that it is on Friday. The other one is saying it is on Saturday. So this particular person was invited to become the imam. Can he pray on Friday and he pray on Saturday? The answer is yes, because this is based on ijtihad. If their ijtihad is something that we can accept, then there is no issue. Then there is no issue. But if any of the groups any they are ijtihad and it is confirmed and we say wrong, it is not any based any knowledge or based any on ignorance, then we cannot support them. If they are just based any on, you see a lot of people and you have this misunderstanding. They say that we need to follow Saudi Arabia at all times. This is not correct. Can we follow any this kind any of opinion? No. But since any you are talking about moon sighting, now it is based any on ijtihad. Both any are yani looking any at the moon. One is saying that I saw the moon. One is saying any that I saw any the moon. The other is saying, of course, any in the Mazhab Imam Shafi'i, if one person, and he says, and that person and can be trusted, then wajib any we have any to follow. This must be also any taken any into consideration. But if both any are saying any that there is what you call it, the moon and it cannot any be sighted. The moon and it cannot any be sighted. The other party and is saying that the moon and it can be sighted. Then we have to look any other conditions. If this particular person is a person any that can be trusted any in the community, then any we can follow him. So if it is based any on ijtihad and that is accepted, yes you can. But if it is not based any on clear any ijtihad, then any we cannot any follow any falsehood. We cannot follow falsehood. Then we follow any which one any is the truth. So if a person any saw any the moon and this person any is someone any that we can trust, then we follow any that person. Then there is no issue any of becoming any the imam any for that any particular any person. But if something any that is not clear and both any has the possibility, then it is a bit any difficult any to ascertain any which one any is the truth and is based any on ijtihad. Assalamualaikum Waalaikumsalam. Touching of private parts and in our madhab nullify wudu. Which other madhab that touching of private parts does not nullify any wudu? Can I taklik any to the madhab any in darurat? Darurat here meaning a person any is in a state any of any emergency. He wants any to follow any. He wants any to follow any that particular any madhab. You see, with regard any to wudu, it has a connection any with prayers. This is any the difficult part. So when you want any to follow a particular madhab any in prayers, you have any to follow the madhab in wudu and prayers. In wudu and prayers. So this is something any which I do not any recommend. Because our ulama, yani they have conditions any with regard any to taqlid. Not ta'liq, it's taqlid. Ta'liq any is in talaq. Taqlid any meaning any we follow. We follow any an opinion. So this is certainly not something any that we care, that we encourage. And you see the thing is taking wudu any how many seconds any a person any takes wudu. Where is the darura? This is another question. But wallahu alam any if any there is darura any that we can, it is permissible to do any taqlid. It is permissible. But with the conditions any the madhab that you are following. Next one. There's hadith any on Sunan Nasa'i, which of us will be the best, will be the first any to following you any in depth. He said the one who has the longest arms. They took a stick and starting to measure their arms. But Sauda was the first one to follow him. She was the one who had the longest arms because she used it to give charity and a great deal. We know that Sauda died later and Zainab and he was first. How is this hadith great and sahih? And we have any to look any the condition anyway which Al-Imam Nasa'i and states. Because with regard any to hadith any we have to take a consideration any on the sanad. We have to take the conditions any of the sanad. There are the 5 any conditions any. If you want to know any whether this particular hadith any is sahih, there must any be 5. And one of it is that the sanad any must be connected. All the people any are trustworthy. Then we have any to look any at the other conditions. Does the ahad any hadith about verifying recitation and in prayer, tashahud and sujood possibly be due to error? And how do we know it is authentic? You see, hadith any ahad hadith any ahad can be any authentic, because ahad any is the opposite of mutawatir. So with regard to hadith ahad, it is divided into the three categories. We have the sahih, hasan, and da'if. So we have hadith any that is sahih, but it is ahad. So for example, we have the hadith, Imam Bukhari placed the first hadith, innamal a'malu bin niyat. This hadith ini is accepted any by everyone. It is hadith any that is sahih. But it is any hadith ahad? Yes, it is hadith any ahad. So does it mean any that hadith ahad? It is not any sahih? No, that's not any what any the scholars of hadith any mention. So hadith any ahad any about varying any recitation any in prayer. With regard any to the tashahud any and the sujud, possibly be due to error. No, it is not any due to error. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, any he teaches any the adhkar, any in tashahud, in sujud, the differences sometimes any we have with regard any to the tashahud. We have any a few narrations. Does it mean any that they are contradicting? No. These are the possibilities. This is the things any that the Prophet any made easy any for his ummah. So if this particular narration any is a sahih or hasan, it can be practiced. No issue. It can be practiced. So that is why we have differences any amongst the scholars as to which type any of askar that is better for us any to recite any in prayer. If a person is doubtful, if he has emitted any impurity, but he is 99% certain, he makes any wudu and pray. Later he finds any himself any impure. Must he repeat his prayer? Yani if he search and find and is confirmed any that is impure, he has to repeat any his prayer if he is convinced that it happens before prayer, not after prayer. The Prophet and he didn't repeat the rak'ah before yani Jibril and he pointed out impurity any on his shoe. See, the thing about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there are certain things that are excuse any for him, which are not any excuse any for his ummah. And with regard any to impurity, there are also differences any amongst other madhab, not our madhab. That says any that prayer any is still valid. So we have commentary any on that particular hadith. Assalamualaikum, waalaikum salam. Men can do istibra by coughing and rubbing the penis, but how do ladies any do istibra? So ladies any do istibra also any by coughing, and rubbing any some parts any of where the urine comes out. By rubbing any those parts, that is a form of istibra. It is difficult to do istinja in bathroom with no spray. Can I use my water bottle filled with water even if the water tastes a bit of lemon, no matter how much I rinse? What is important is that the water must be mutlaq. Last time any we spoke about mutlaq any water. So if it tastes a bit any of lemon, to such an extent we say this is lemon water, then you cannot use for istinja. But if it's just a bit, it is forgiven. Tamam? Meaning it does not remove the mutlaq any of the water. What if the water cooler water, but I use it already for drinking, meaning my mouth saliva already touched any of the water? Yani as long as the water doesn't change any of the state to such an extent that we do not say this is not any water, you can use the water for istinja. And saliva any is not najis. All these any are not najis. Lemon is not najis. Saliva any is not najis. Wallahu alam any bisawab. So I believe any there's no more questions. We close any this class any by this small any dua. ربنا تقبل دعانا انك انت السميع العليم وتب علينا انك انت التواب الرحيم واختم بالصالحات اعمالا واجرنا يا الله يا كريم فضل سبحان ربك بالعزه عما يصفون سلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين تقبل الله منكم السلام عليكم ورحمه الله وبركاته